Hi, and welcome back to Property Insight. My name is Mark Ashworth.
And I'm Neil Harding.
And today we're talking about rules were meant to be broken. There's a lot of things we say on this channel where we kind of think, yeah, you need to do this, you need to make sure you've done that. Have you done this? And it seems that Neil's broken quite a few of these rules lately. But rules were meant to be broken because in certain instances, perhaps they should be broken because you might end up getting a bloody good deal out of it. So tell us about this deal, Neil.
Yeah, so I've not followed my own advice, and in doing so, I think I might have actually just done the best investment that I have ever done.
Excellent. We like to hear about these sort of deals.
So I've two pieces of advice that I would always tell everybody, and I think I probably still would always tell everybody, is at an auction, if you're going to buy an auction property, do your financial assessment, stack the deal, do your due diligence in advance, and set a maximum bid for yourself and stick to it. And so don't go over it.
So you've gone over your set price at an auction.
Oh yes.
By how much?
Only £1,000.
Okay.
So I set a maximum bid of £155,000, and I ended up being the winning bid at an auction, an online auction, at £156,000, and I was the winning bid, and I bought the property at £156,000.
So I reckon that you're going to let us into some kind of knowledge about what happened towards the end of that auction, because I can imagine that it was going up, and you got a feeling that maybe it wasn't going to go up much more than.
Okay, absolutely. So the key things here, the context is that actually it's not as if at £156,000 this deal is suddenly a terrible deal.
Right.
It's still a good deal, and the auction was progressing at 151, and then it started to slow up at 152, and it seemed to be an age before anyone bid 153. And I was bidding against somebody else, and I think the way it played out was I bid 153, I think it was, and then there wasn't any higher bid, and I thought, oh great, I'm going to win this at 153. That's good. And the auctioneer started to call it. They'd said, going once, going twice, and then before the hammer could fall on the third call, someone bid 154, or outbid me by £1,000. So I thought, oh, that's really annoying.
So do you think their maximum bid, do you think, could have been 150? And then they were pushing themselves.
They
so
might
theirs
have
was 150, yours was 155.
It went like that. And the thing is, you can sense in an auction, if there's so much time being taken between the bids, you're probably only bidding with one other person. Yep. If it's clear that you're above the reserve price, these are actual bids, they're not off the wall bids from the auction house. So it's a real bidder that's actually seriously going to buy it if they beat you. Then, and then what will happen is the bids might have started going up in increments of £2,500 or £2,000 at quite a pace. And then they'll come down to £1,000 as you start to get towards the real sale price. And then when it really slows up, they start to take, the auctioneer might say, I'll take £500 if it helps. That's often a phrase you'll hear in auction, I'll take £500. And then if you can see that there's still someone dithering and maybe they want they might even say, I'll take 250. But once you start getting down to that sort of, fractions of amounts, that
we're almost there.
Someone is very, very close to being out. So anyway, a bid came in at 155,500. And I just thought to myself, man, I don't want to miss out on this property for the sake of £500 on 155k purchase price. So actually I bid 156 and got the property. So that was the first deal, the first rule that I broke and didn't follow my own advice. I've done a video on how to bid at an auction, one or two videos, and I would still advocate that rule because it's they're not necessarily for the faint-hearted auctions. So don't go above your maximum price like I did. But actually, I'm quite pleased that I did. So
I think that was a really, really interesting insight as to how to interpret the way that the bidding's going, the speed of the bid, how it feels, what the auctioneer is saying, because they will say things like, don't leave it too long, don't bid at the last minute. They don't like you to bid at the last minute, thinking that nobody, because it's true. If you've got, and I think Neil's right, I think he could sense that there was literally one other person. So had it have gone straight up to 155 relatively quickly, and then carried on slowly, you would have been out a long time earlier.
100%.
Or you would have just gone, I'm out,
Yeah, 100%.
But just that you got that feeling was really interesting. I think just in itself, that's amazing information and just, finite detail that makes or breaks how you should bid in the auction. So
yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah.
So what's the next rule that was broken?
The next rule that I broke was, you should never buy a property unless you viewed it, right?
Hang on a minute. Hold on. So you never even viewed this property? This gets worse. Okay, come on then.
So I didn't view the property.
Turn the video off. We're going to have to delete this one.
I did look at it.
From the outside?
From the outside,
okay.
yeah.
So you knew it wasn't falling down?
I knew it wasn't falling down. So you can actually tell quite a bit from an outside inspection of a property. So I was able to look at the roof line, look at the brickwork, make sure there's no subsidence. I was able to make sure that all the windows were okay. Nobody had tried to break into the front door or the back door, so the locks would still work, that the guttering was attached, that there were no water stain lines down the brickwork. I could check the back garden and make sure how much work needed to be done, whether or not sheds needed to be removed and cleared, trees needed to be cut back, or what have you. Mm-hmm. So even to the point where I actually got a quote for the back garden and any roof work that needed to be done. So I knew all of that was going to cost me £1,500 to get that.
Could you see through the windows?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could see the ground floor.
Yeah. So I was able to peer in, and again, I suppose I can't really sort of recommend to anybody that you start peering in through windows of doors. However, I did. So I peered in through a window, and you can, obviously I knew the property was empty. I knew it was empty.
So I suppose the question I'm sure that is on everyone's lips at the minute is, why didn't you look inside it? You went there to look at the outside. Why didn't you look inside it?
Yeah, I turned up for a viewing, and the only viewing that was arranged for that property. So I knew the property was empty. I met the key holder that was scheduled to do viewings at that time, 2 days before the auction was going to go ahead. And the key safe was there, and it was the wrong key. So they couldn't let me in, and I couldn't do any viewings. But what I was able to do is peer in through a few windows. But the interesting thing about turning up for that viewing was that I was the only person who turned up.
Right.
And there was only one viewing. So I knew that nobody else was interested enough to actually turn up to view the property. And that viewing was only 2 days before the auction.
So it sounds to me like this property was put in the auction last minute.
Yeah.
Right.
It was. Yeah.
Okay.
This property sold in the summer of last year for £235,000.
And if we skip back a few seconds, didn't you just say you paid 156?
I bought it for £156,000.
Wow. Well done, that man.
By breaking my own rules and not following my own advice, I think I can safely say this is actually purely financially, just looking at the numbers, I think it's the strongest deal I've ever done.
That's what I call below market value, and people are saying there's no properties out there at the minute. So you just got to get out there.
If you hunt, this is the age I was saying. If you hunt enough, there are deals that you can find. I got the keys for this property this week.
Okay.
I've now been in the property.
Yeah. Does it have floorboards on the first floor? Does it have stairs?
It does.
Okay.
It's in pretty good condition. It has a kitchen, it has a bathroom, it has a cloakroom, and I've got a quote in for all the repairs and maintenance works on the inside, and £5,000.
Wow.
For all the bits and bobs.
That's
most of it's odd
fantastic.
jobs. Yeah.
So I guess really it's not necessarily in this particular case about the property itself. It's more around the circumstances and why the property is being sold rather than the property itself. So we don't know the details about the ownership necessarily. It's largely probably not that important, but the point is that it needed to be sold. It was late to auction. They didn't have enough time to do viewings. They didn't have the key. You know, it's basically your attitude to risk, and we've done a video on risk. Just search the channel for that, and you'll hear about that. But that's your attitude towards risk on whether you should bid for that property. And obviously, you know, so far
Yeah.
It's a good job.
Yeah, I factored into my purchase price a worst case scenario. I haven't seen this property inside. What if this needs a £30,000 refurb? If it did, the numbers still look fairly decent. So I was comfortable at that price, knowing that if it didn't need a refurb, that's a massive upside bonus for me. And it's turned out to be an upside bonus, which is great.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Any other rules broken?
No, I think 2 for 1 month is enough.
2 pretty big reasons. But fantastic. Well done. Congratulations on your purchase. I look forward to coming along and having a look at it.
Yeah.
And we do hope that you found that video insightful. Always really good to hear real life examples of this kind of stuff. And we hope that it inspires you. So we look forward to seeing you on the next one.